You are a good thing. Stop letting people, TV, men, etc. define you. God gave you the victory over everything the devil was trying to get you to think about. I learned that God goes above and beyond, and we cannot even try to guess the plans that He has for us, that we are not the author of our story. God is. Because faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the convictions of things not seen. And if you're waiting to be able to see the end result before you make a move, you're not moving on faith. The purpose is not a position or a job or a title. Purpose is a posture. God is going to take you on a journey, and it's not going to make sense now. Maybe when that thing clicks, you're going to see that it was all a part of the process. Be you, shine bright, and stay holy. And if that's not possible, then baby, take that up with God. Hey, holy people. Welcome back to episode 2. I have a little story to tell y'all today. Okay. I've been telling y'all about these upgrades and then tell y'all that we was going fishing. But let me show y'all how this actually played out. Yeah. Okay, boom. So just finished recording season 1, right? I got so excited. I was like, oh, we going fishing. We got a net. We in here, right? We gonna have some resources. I said, let me make room to receive these resources. So I cleaned out my little area right here. It's small, but it's mighty. Hey, if you on YouTube, you see it. And I was like, we gonna be prepared. Everything that I've spoken to existence, the computer, the microphone, the lighting, the everything that I need, right? It's gonna be cramped up in the space. But let me go on and clean it out because I know I'm gonna get it. So I immediately go on Amazon and I start adding things to my cart. I'm anticipating, I'm expecting the overflow, right? I go on Amazon, I'm adding things because when it comes, I don't want to waste no time. But in order for me to do this, in order for me to know what items need to go in my Amazon cart, I was spending so many hours on YouTube looking up different things. I was, researching video podcasts. I was researching all of these creators who have been doing this for years and years and years and have millions and hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's where I was living my expectation up to. Okay. Because be specific in your prayers, right? And so after all of these endless hours, I found the perfect equipment that was both quality and within my budget. I found I found option A's, I found option B's. I mean, y'all, I was going in on this YouTube. I was messing up all the algorithms on both me and Jalen's computer devices, okay? And so I found all these things, right? It felt like an expert producer. I felt like I came an expert like videographer at this point. Like I learned about practical lighting and field lighting and all the things, right? I learned about for my computer, y'all know I really need a computer. I really need a computer. But I learned about RAM and storage and processings and NVIDIA graphic cards and all the things. I mean, honey, I went up to Best Buy and I told them I was looking for a computer, and I don't know who they thought I was. I don't know who they thought they were dealing with. If I was just some regular like chick who didn't know what she was going on. But baby, after attending YouTube University for these computers for quite some time, this guy he was very surprised when I started telling him like, no, that's not what I want. I need a computer with minimum this, maximum this. Nope, that computer, it overheats. I was honey giving it to him. They could have hired me on the spot. And he was like, do you game? I said, no, but I've done my research. Period. And so I felt like a nerd. I was nerding out in both the aspects of video and in computer and hard drive and stuff like that. And so I went in, right? So imagine after all of this research, I'm buying all of the things, right? I ain't lacking on nothing. I put it in an Amazon cart and I showed my husband. I said, "Here is my wish list for the podcast. Um, we're gonna end up buying these things before the end of the summer." He started laughing. He's like, And if y'all know my husband, y'all already know he Mr. Krabs, like to the extreme. If you watch SpongeBob SquarePants and you know Mr. Krabs, he did not play about his money, honey. I promise you, they wrote that based off of my husband. Okay, so I already knew what was gonna happen. So I knew there was gonna be a little delay between when I put this in the cart to when it was actually gonna come to fruition. So I was gonna be patient, but I was also praying very fervently, like, Lord, you know what I need? I need you to make this happen, right? But there were some things, okay, ladies, you feel me? Gentlemen, just bear with us, but ladies, there were some things that I knew I didn't need to go to Amazon for. I could literally go to Walmart or Big Lots behind a house, walk there if I need to. I could purchase this stuff today. So my patience meter ran out of it, okay? And so I was going for the low hanging fruit, right? Like not these big cameras and computers and lightings, I knew that if I could go to Big Lots or Walmart and get some small little things and slowly start to bring it in, Jalen wouldn't realize that I was checking stuff off my Amazon cart. I'm not sneaky, I'm just resourceful. Yes, I'm just clever with it. And so the very first thing that I decided would be a big enhancement or would definitely change this space and make an impact would be some curtains, right? To elevate this little storage closet thing I got going on here. It would be some curtains. And so both for the lighting, to remove some of the harsh lighting, but also for the sound, it makes the insulator, all the things. Listen, y'all, I told y'all I went in. I went in. And so I've been wanting to get curtains for a while. I've hung curtains up in our bedroom. I've hung curtains up in our living room. To me, curtains makes the space feel like home. To my husband, it's a pointless piece of fabric that we have hanging up over the window. But that's why I decorate the house, right? And so I felt official, baby. I knew that I was finna be on my Spike Lee, my Tiana Taylor, my production bag. Because when I get these curtains, baby. So I went to Big Lots that day. I wasted no time. I went to Big Lots that day. I picked up some curtains, and I went to the house. Now I waited. I did wait for my husband to hang them up because let me tell y'all a little mini story within this story. Once upon a time, those very same curtains that Maya tried to hang up in the living room and in the bedroom, I did not want to wait for my husband to finish what he had going on. So I decided I was going to hang them myself. Okay, because I'm an independent woman and I know how to work a drill. I would give myself a C job. Okay. Downstairs, I think I did pretty good. I didn't drill stuff in all the way though. Oops. I don't think I used the right tools and drill bits. Oops. But thankfully they're not light. And then upstairs, I completely measured it wrong. And so the curtains don't even extend all the way past the window like that. I was in a rush. Okay. So I knew that this time I learned my lesson that I was going to let Jalen Gaston handle it because I ain't trying to hear his mouth. And I already snuck and got these curtains. I'm not trying to hear his mouth about why it look a hot mess. So, I was excited because this was going to be something I was going to instantaneously be able to see and experience walking into this upgrade. Literally, I mean, we're early on into the summer, y'all. Like a few days after season 1 finale. And so I wasted no time. I was already anticipating season 2. And so I'm sitting back, and I'm watching him. I've already measured everything out. I'm watching him go to drill the curtains. First hole, perfect, beautiful. Ooh, love it. This is going perfectly planned. It'll be done in like 10 minutes, right? No. Okay. I heard that dreaded sound that I heard before. It was it was the stud. Okay, it was a stud. He could not go any further. I got flashbacks. I had PTSD. But in this moment, I laughed because when I did that to the living room and to the bedroom, he raised hell, right? I ain't know what I was doing, except. So I was just glad at this moment that it was happening to him and it was not happening to me. So I wasn't worried. I said, well, just move it over a little bit. It'll be fine. So he did that. And again, heard that sound. Here we are, 5, 6 tries, attempts later. I kid you all not. But each time he moved over, he could not get the nail to go where it needed to go because there was a stud, right? And I've heard about studs and all the things, right? And I know kind of where they went, but I guess this one was a horizontal stud, okay? And so because we were trying to hang this so close to the window, this is a very small place, we working with what we got. We just couldn't. We could not get it. And he just kept looking at me like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to happen. And what I thought was going to take 10 minutes and I was going to be able to, rejoice to the saints. Ooh, look at this space getting upgraded. Felt like it took 2 hours to hang. And literally, you could see when I look up, I could see all of the attempts he was trying to make, and it stressed me out because now I'm like, now this ain't even cute anymore. This looks very ugly. What are we doing? Okay. And that begun my mental spiral. Like, I felt like I had been defeated because this dream that I had of season 2, this dream that I had of upgrading, this dream that I had of being, this bootleg Tiana Taylor Spike Lee producer, I felt like was slowly like crashing in on me. And I felt like I was feeling all the feelings that I never expressed, right? Because up until this point, there was hope. I had faith. And now it was like, this is not going to happen. This space, I knew it was too small, right? Upgrade what? There is no upgrade, girl. Who do you think you are? Why does this always happen to me, right? This always happens to me. Everybody else is doing this, it was a spiral. And I knew I was going to be able to get this curtain where I wanted it to go. And, the only thing I remember saying out loud, so all these thoughts were in my head, but the only thing I remember saying out loud was, I hate these studs. These studs are so stupid. Like, why are they here? And I walked to the kitchen while Jalen was still trying his best because I think he felt it on me. Like, this is a hot mess. I went to the kitchen. I cried. I had tears in my eyes, and I prayed to God because God, you gotta intervene. Because with the way that I'm going, ain't gonna be no season 2. With the way that I'm going, podcast is done. It's over. All because I can't hang these curtains, y'all. So, of course, a few weeks later, I'm praying, I'm talking to God, and I got a revelation, right? That I felt like in that moment that God was beginning to upgrade my mental mind before the physical upgrade happened. There needed to be a mental one, right? And so I went on a deep dive because we take all things up with God over here, period. And I searched the Wikipedia internet streets. And I said, what is a stud? Because I hate it so much. I'm frustrated with it. What is a stud? Now, I'm a spoiler alert for people who don't want to be patient. We ended up getting the curtains hanged. There's a set here, there's a set in front of me. Glory be to God. He figured it out, okay? But a stud. Wikipedia says a wall stud is a vertical, repetitive framing member in a building's wall of a smaller cross section than a post, right? It's a fundamental element in frame building. It also says their studs are ancient words in Old English and German, etc., generally meaning to prop or to support something. There's another definition that studs are load bearing, that they help to separate spaces, that they hold in place windows and doors and interior finishes and all the things, right? They help give shape to a building. And so after reading these, I was like, well, Maya, yeah, that the stud, we thank God for the stud because it was very much necessary. We needed that. I got a 3-story home, so we need everything to be in its place so we're not falling through this thing. The studs seem very necessary at this point, and I agree. Okay, I agreed. Because when we needed this TV in the living room to be mounted, I was praying to God that this TV man knew what he was doing and was mounting that TV to a stud, right? I knew that much about studs. I knew that with heavy items, you want them attached to the stud so they don't fall out, right? But these is curtains. These is curtains. Why is a stud getting in my way? I just didn't need all that, right? Um, there are tools that should have been in the toolkit that allowed us to hang this up easier. No matter what was in my way, it's freaking curtains, people. I was so upset, right? But it was in that moment that I realized that this had biblical principles. So, just like I had read earlier in Matthew, studs have a purpose. The studs provide the building foundation and structure and shape, right? In Matthew, it's talking about, checking your foundation, when things come, when things get heavy, when things get rainy and stormy, what are you holding on to? What have you built your house upon? Are the streams gonna allow it to kind of break the house over, or is it gonna stand firm? And very much like that, I think the studs serve the same purpose in homes. And Jesus, the reality is our foundation, right? It's deeper than a stud. It's deeper than building a house on a foundation. Jesus is the foundation. Everything we are trying to accomplish should be fastly secured to him, right? When things get heavy, life gets stormy, everyday struggles, we want to make sure that we don't collapse, that our house doesn't collapse, that the ministry stays secure, grounded, and securely fastened to Jesus. And see, this was my problem in the first place. Here I am with some cheap Walmart parts and pieces trying to attach these curtains to the drywall because these curtains ain't heavy, right? I don't need to read the instructions. They don't need to be attached to a stud based on the directions. But seeing as though I am fervently praying right before going in this direction, that I'm praying fervently that God covers every square inch of this space, right? As soon as season 1 ended, and even through season 1, okay? Because we talk to God over here all the time. But I'm like, Lord, this is a space where I want to carry out what you've called me to do. Bless this space, be in the midst of this space. I let God know that I'm walking in expectancy that I don't want to do nothing without him. Nothing. Now, Maya, be careful what you pray for, girl, because now you out here trying to do curtains without him. Who would have thought? But this is where I made my first mistake, right? I assumed that I could do even the simplest and mundane task without securely fastening myself to him as my support and foundation. It doesn't matter if the task is so simple that you can complete it by second hand or by yourself. I've gotten to the point where I don't want to do nothing without him. And that's what I believe he was reminding me of in this moment before I got out of hand. Okay. It was also eye-opening to visually see how many times we attempted to nail in these curtain rods before turning to him, before I went in the kitchen and prayed and asked God for help, before even seeking out where the stud even was. Why would we keep on drilling, knowing there's a stud that we keep hitting, but we ain't even identified where the stud is? Like, we're not experts, right? We don't have a stud finder. We was doing that little cute little bootleg version of the not, and seeing what it sound different. And every time we knocked, it sounded different. But every time my husband drilled, we found there was a stud. It clearly wasn't accurate. It wasn't purposeful enough for this task. And I see that symbolic as to how we are riding with Jesus. Like, how intently have you sought him out? Or do you think he's somewhere in the vicinity? Do you know where he is, generally speaking? on a surface level, or do you know for sure where you stand with him because you were intentional to seek him out? Too many of us have surface level relationships with Jesus. We only seek him out intentionally for the real heavy hitters in life. But he is our source for everything. And we need to keep that same energy and seek him out as intently, even with these everyday tasks of life. So the consequences of that is us trying 4 or 5 times to get the right placement according to where we thought the curtains would look best, right? My plan, I wanted the curtains to be visually even. I wanted them to, be this many inches from the wall and this many inches from this wall. Visually, I said I wanted the curtains to go here and there. It was my plan, my vision. But after the many attempts and after calling on God, we saw that where we wanted the curtains and where God wanted the curtains, baby, were way off. And now I can't even tell a difference. But initially I was like, this looks so ugly. This looks so disgusting. It wasn't even that deep, sis. But once we went in the direction that God wanted us to do, right? Instead of going to the right more, once we started going to the left more, we were able to drill into the wall with no problem. And now, while this task didn't end up with us drilling into the stud, as we were equipped to drill in the drywall with the simple, tools that came in the toolkit because curtains weren't that heavy, I was fascinated by how central the stud still was in us accomplishing our task. Like, we didn't need to drill into the stud, but we needed to know where the stud was to do what we needed to do. So after coming to this realization, I got even more puzzled by why Jalen could not drill through the stud in the first place. Because just because we hit the stud, right? He was indeed using a drill and a drill bit. Shouldn't that be able to drill through the stud? Like, the man that was hanging up the TV when he was drilling the TV in the wall, he used a drill. It looked like the same one that my husband had. Why can't ours drill the way that his did? So again, went to these internet streets and I found an article that asked the question, why can't my drill through the stud in my wall? And it said that if your drill bit can go through drywall but can't penetrate the stud behind it, you need to use another bit. Because dull drill bits would probably still go through the drywall since it's soft. It's not that horrible, but they may struggle with a more harder surface like wood. So herein lies another Holy Spirit slapdown that I received this summer on this here day. You cannot walk into your new season with outdated, worn out tools. That is, you cannot walk into your new season with passiveness. I cannot walk into my new season with old habits, with the wrong posture. You see, I had all the right equipment, but in this new season, it was going to be used in a different way. God needed to do the upgrading first, and I didn't seek him for that. These drill bits that we had were so old. They were dull. They were likely not equipped to be able to drill as deeply as we needed it to get through the stud. It was perfect for the surface level, for the drywall, right? For the easy, mundane things, but not at all for the stud. Not at all for getting to the root, for getting to the foundation of things. So when God is calling us deeper, you have to make sure that you have the right tools. Because this is not an area of your life that you want to be discounted or use secondhand tools. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 10 through 15 says, by the grace God has shown me, I laid a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one should build with care. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. If anyone builds on this foundation using gold and silver and costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. If what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward. If it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames. Paul, with this metaphor of building a house, emphasizes the necessity to be careful on how we are building on top of the foundation that Jesus started. And you just can't throw worthless things and hazardous materials together and think that it's going to stand the test of time. So this was a reminder to me that before I began crafting up this season 2, that everything has to be done with quality and with par and with the right tools. I don't just need to use any old resource. I want the source. There's no more cutting corners. That there's no more, last minuteness. Does it take more time to make sure that you have the right materials? Does it take more time to save up to get the best of the best materials? Does it take more time to make sure that everything is right? More due diligence? Absolutely. Is it going to cost more to build? Yes, with these precious stones, absolutely. But it's worth it. And it's my responsibility as a steward of person spreading the gospel. And I want you to think about that, right? Like, the foundation that God has set for you and the calling that He has on your life and the level in which you want to get to, the amount of time that's going to take for you to upgrade it. Like, are you being too haste that you're not even locating your foundation? You're not even locating where your stud is. The stud is Jesus Christ, right? You don't even know where He's at. You just kind of on autopilot doing what you need to do. And 2, are you being cheap with what you got? Or are you really taking the time to make sure that what you build on this foundation, with what you do with the platform God has given you, what you do with the job that God has placed you in, what you do with the children that God has allowed you to minister to, what you are doing in your life is quality. Are you taking on your responsibility for that? That's the question I had to sit with. Now, are these studs annoying? Absolutely. Okay. Physical studs in my house are extremely annoying, especially when we're just doing the small things. But the spiritual stud that is Jesus, the one who supports and shapes me, yeah, he could be agitating at times, but he means well. He knows well. And the only reason I perceive it as agitating is because it is the literal manifestation of the internal wars that he is fighting over my flesh. So, did we get the curtains hung? We did. It adds a nice little vibe in here. um, but there are quite a few holes, tons more holes that I want to even think about. But there's quite a few holes to remind me of this battle between the flesh that I had and the spirit. But I'm thankful for this evidence. I'm so thankful, and especially the timeliness of this evidence before I went to start record and write and do all the things I do for the podcast. I'm thankful for the reminder that I cannot, will not, and should not, and don't want to do anything without God. Even what I perceive as small, I don't even want to attempt it. And even if I have prior experience in the thing that I'm doing, because I've done it before, everything, each and every day, is under His control. And I intend to keep it that way. Well, holy people, that is our quick lesson for today, our quick thought, my quick testimony, honey, about the studs that I myself have created. The studs that I created because I was just too quick, too hasten, too impatient, too just laxical with the responsibility that God has given me. And we in here. We did it. And we learned the lesson. It was tough, but we learned the lesson. So I am hoping and praying that you all may be able to let go and let God in every task, big or small, that you all are be able to identify Him as the foundation that supports you in everything that you do, and that you should not and would not want to do anything without Him. Because baby, when you have Jesus, you can be you, shine bright, and stay holy. And if that ain't possible, then baby, take that up with God. Love y'all.